Hello and welcome to day 208 of Dungeon23, the series where we make a room of a mega dungeon every day for a year. Before we get to what we're doing today, although it's pretty obvious what we're going to be doing if you played video games the last 10 years, I want to ask you to subscribe to the channel so that way you could see the other crazy, wacky, weird rooms that are in this mega dungeon. And if you don't want to have to remember to come back tomorrow, or you don't want to be dependent on recommendations, then consider turning on notifications. But enough about that. On to our room, which, as I said, if you've played video games in the past 10 years, you probably know what I made here. It is basically the monster spawner from Minecraft. And I'm just using my cage token and a little shark because it spawns sharks, because it's a little cage. And reusing assets is 90% of what I do. So I gave it 45 HP and 16 AC, because it is just a thing that's in initiative. It's basically a creature, even though it's technically a structure. How structures work isn't really super well thought out in D&D. It's basically a creature with a bunch of immunities and a lot of weird weaknesses. It's weird, but the important thing is that I have all of its nonsense written down here. The first thing is that it's a small magical cage containing a spiraling effigy of a reef shark. I imagine it's not like an actual shark that's in there, but like a voodoo doll or like a carving or a clay doll or something like that. Just to basically reiterate the fact that this is the Minecraft monster spawner. It's basically how it works. And it is immune to all conditions, as structures are for the most part. It is immune to psychic and poison damage, again like most structures. It automatically fails any strength or dex saves, again like most structures. And it does have to make con saves because spells like Shatter and other things like that still require con saves. And it's a +8 to con save, so it's pretty good, but it is super weak to the other saves too, so it has some strengths and weaknesses. And finally, it is a structure/construct. Basically, if you have an ability that does more damage to structures, which I know there's monsters that have that effect. I don't know if the party could become any of them. Maybe a druid might have a monster that could turn to one, like siege monster. And there's also like a barbarian subclass that lets you do more damage to structures. But this is more so just like to cover our own bases. And finally, it always goes on initiative count 10. Not 20, but 10, because 20 is a bit too much. I want some of the party to be able to go ahead of this thing, to kind of catch it off guard, even though it's not really sentient. Anyway, it always goes on initiative count 10. But yeah, that's all of its like stats out of the way. Now it only has one action, which again takes on its turn. That is spawn reef sharks, which are like the CR 1/4, the lesser of the sharks. And it is on a recharge, again like how the monster spawner in Minecraft doesn't always spawn, just it typically does. I didn't give this thing a requirement for light level, just because mainly I forgot. But second, because the party's going to be bringing a torch around, and calculating light level is annoying, especially for D&D, where there's only like 2 light levels, and it's really easy to just make things bright, so yeah. Anyway, on a recharge 5 or 6, I think I put 8 by accident, I'm going to fix that now. But on a 5 or 6, basically roll a d6, and if it's a 5 or 6, I could do it again. If a creature is within 15 feet of the spawner, it's not a reaction, but there is a prerequisite of a creature must be within 15 feet of it. It can magically summon 1d4 plus 1, so between 2 to 5 of these CR 1/4 sharks, at a random spot within 10 feet of the spawner. So, on its turn, rolls a 5 or 6. Well, actually the first one it just does automatically because it hasn't used its ability yet. But once it does, roll a 5d6. And it could spawn basically anywhere within this area here, and it activates when someone walks through the door. And I guess the party could possibly drag it around, maybe. I don't think it's bolted to the floor, but it's not really something that's planned to be doing. But it basically just spawns 1d4 plus 1 reef sharks in this area here. And this door here could easily just use to close it out, and it is unlocked, but it is barred from the north side. So there is a way of just locking it again, but the party isn't going to have to worry about sharks breaking it down. We're just going to, the sharks are probably going to ignore them once they're closed off. They're not super sentient, they're not super bloodthirsty, they're just animals. But these guys, these Meros, might be a problem with it trying to break down this door. And also up here we have Sahogans that could not summon, but control sharks. So this could be a really big issue with snowballing, if not for the fact that the party must be within this room essentially for it to work. And yeah, that is basically it. Just a idea I ripped from Minecraft because Minecraft is a wealth of ideas for D&D. And I may even consider making a little series about making Minecraft mobs in D&D. I already did make one for the Enderman because a guy I knew was trying to write a game set in like a Minecraft setting, but I'll have to re-look it over and get a feel for it again. But in the meantime, consider subscribing to the channel, as I said earlier, and turn on notifications if you want to get notified. If you liked the video, then consider liking it. And comment your suggestions down below because comments help with the algorithm, drive up engagement, and also I would like new ideas because new ideas are few and far between. I have been doing this for over half a year now, like 2/3 of the way there I guess, and ideas get wasted and burned out and consumed very, very quickly. So yeah, thanks for watching and or listening. I apologize for the poor quality. It's not going to get any better.